Listen carefully, because I am not here to entertain your emotions. I am here to announce a royal decree over your life. Vision is sacred. It is not a hobby, not a random idea, not an Instagram caption. It is an assignment issued by the King of the universe. And you, my friend, are the steward. A king does not leave his treasury open. A ruler does not abandon the gates of the city. A wise builder does not throw the blueprint to the winds and hope for excellence by accident. You must understand this. When heaven entrusts you with sight beyond the present, you become responsible to guard that sight like a territory, like a crown, like a seed that belongs to generations you may never meet. The problem is not that your dream is too big. The problem is that you treated a mandate like a suggestion, and suggestions don't create legacy, assignments do. Let me bring you up where the air is thin. Eagles do not descend to fight pigeons. Not because they hate pigeons, but because altitude demands focus. Did you hear me? Eagles are guardians of atmosphere. They manage the winds to maintain vision. They are not emotional brawlers pecking at crumbs in the marketplace of opinions. They rise. They lock into currents. They conserve strength for the storm that becomes their elevator. And you, your life, your purpose, your destiny requires that same discipline. Stop spending your wings on reactions. Stop trading your hours with people who only trade in distractions. The truth is, your future cannot afford petty battles. When you are built for mountains, the alleyways cannot host your greatness. Are there eagles in this room? Then join me at the top and leave the noise at the bottom. What is vision in kingdom terms? Not ambition. Ambition is the hunger of the soul. Vision is the revelation of assignment. It is the reason you survive what killed others. It is the blueprint God whispered before you ever opened your eyes. It is the picture of preferred future embedded in your spirit so that your steps carry prophecy. Vision is why your mind won't rest in mediocrity. Vision is that voice that says you were not born for cages. And holds you accountable for becoming who you already are in the mind of God. One day you will answer, not for what they expected of you, but for what He deposited in you. Until you understand that, you will negotiate with compromise and call it humility. But this is not about pride. This is about responsibility. You are under orders to manifest. Let me set the stakes, because time is not your friend when procrastination is your counselor. The tragedy is not death. The tragedy is a tombstone over buried potential books, unwritten because you were seeking approval, businesses unbuilt because you wanted comfort, songs unsung because you feared criticism, ministries unbirthed because you lived for applause and forgot the throne. The wealthiest land on earth is not where diamonds glitter or oil flows. It is the cemetery, heavy with unharvested seed. My greatest desire for you is that you refuse to enrich that ground. Die empty, die finished, die having poured out everything entrusted to you. But you cannot die empty if you live open to every voice. You cannot complete the blueprint if your hands are always explaining it. Protecting your vision is not pride, it's stewardship. Now I want you to write this down, write it in your phone, write it in your heart, engrave it on your habits. Access to me is not the same as access to my assignment. Say it again, in your spirit. People can know you without knowing your mandate. They can love you without understanding your burden. They can applaud you and still dilute you. You are not obligated to grant backstage passes to holy ground. There is a difference between fellowship and partnership, between coffee and covenant, between proximity and authorization. If kings guard gates, leaders must guard circles. Your life is a vault, your vision is the currency of generations, and your assignment is not for casual handling. Until you understand boundaries, you will confuse disloyalty with deliverance and call sabotage support. Hear me with a sober heart. Not everyone is qualified for your inner room. And I'm going to tell you with the seriousness of a watchman on the wall, there are three kinds of people you must never trust with your seed. Not because you are arrogant, but because you are accountable. Some will call your faith unrealistic and will salt your soil with fear. Some will live in chaos and drain your momentum until you abandon the sky for the safety of the nest. Some will smile at your story, but secretly want your blueprint without your obedience. We will walk through each one, but first you must accept the law. You are responsible for the locks on your doors. The kingdom gives you keys, but it will not turn them for you. So what does protection look like in practical terms? It looks like early mornings where you guard your thinking from the noise and expose it to the word. It looks like prayer that sets the perimeter and fasting that clarifies the coordinates. It looks like saying no without apology, like scheduling solitude without isolation, like rising above gossip without arrogance. It looks like refusing to feed on scraps of comparison when you were built to soar on revelation. Eagles don't hate the ground. They simply understand that altitude is their ordained environment. And you stop apologizing for oxygen your vision requires. Your future is allergic to clutter. Some of you are grieving relationships that could not stay. You think you were rejected, but the truth is heaven issued a protective order. God will sometimes remove comfort to save your calling. He will allow distance to preserve destiny. He will let a door close because the room behind it would have starved your purpose. Until you understand that, you will chase what God canceled and welcome what God warned you about. What if losing them was the mercy that kept you from losing you? What if boundaries are the medicine your destiny needs? I want to free you tonight from the fear of being misunderstood. You are not rude when you establish standards. You are not unloving when you protect stewardship. You are not proud when you decline access to holy prototypes still in incubation. You are a king's ambassador, a manager of divine thought, and a custodian of tomorrow. Stand your ground, guard your seed, fix your focus, because when vision is kept pure, destiny becomes inevitable. And as we move forward, I will show you how to discern with kingdom eyes, how to test without bitterness, and how to walk with people who multiply, not subtract. For now, close the gates, lift your eyes, spread your wings. The wind is rising, and so are you. Listen carefully, because this is the line that will save you years of recovery and restore the pace of your destiny. Everybody can love you, but not everybody can hold you. Write that down. Love is a feeling, holding is a function. Affection is not qualification. Some people admire your smile but cannot carry your burden. They enjoy your presence but cannot sustain your process. They clap for your highlight reel but cannot stand the cost of your training. You must understand this. The kingdom does not run on emotions. It runs on order. Destiny does not depend on who likes you. It depends on who is aligned with your assignment. The problem is not that you have too many friends. The problem is that you gave every friend the same level of access. And when you do that, you violate the law of access and you weaken the integrity of your future. There is a royal protocol in this kingdom, a divine architecture of circles and gates, inner court and outer court, and the crowd beyond the gates. Even Jesus, hear me, loved the multitudes, trained the 12, and trusted the 3. He fed thousands, he mentored a team, but when it was time to unveil the mountain of transfiguration, he separated the room, not because he was arrogant, but because vision moments require calibrated oxygen. Some revelations suffocate in the presence of unprepared ears. Some blueprints die in rooms where familiarity has replaced honor. If the King of Kings used circles of access with precision, who are you to throw your pearls into every conversation and then call disappointment spiritual warfare? Until you understand access, you will keep bleeding vision on carpets not assigned to host it. Let me expose the price of careless disclosure, because some of you are paying it right now. When you open a holy draft to unqualified counsel, it gets contaminated. Fear drips into it through questions that sound wise but are really dressed up doubt. Jealousy breathes on it with subtle comparisons that shrink your faith to fit someone else's comfort. Small thinking edits it down to what is manageable without God. Spiritual dullness, the worst kind of blindness, treats your prophecy like a trend and moans. Be realistic when you are called to be obedient. Listen carefully. Vision is not a democracy. You don't take a vote on a word from heaven. You steward it, protect it, and submit it only to those ranked to hold it. Say this with conviction. Vision demands boundaries because destiny demands integrity. Eagles teach us this law by instinct. Eagles test before they trust. Please write that down. Not because they are suspicious, but because they are stewards. They do not bring another eagle into covenant flight until storms have revealed character, until time has proven consistency, until altitude has exposed motives. That's kingdom. Trust is not a gift. Trust is a harvest. It is grown through time, tested by adversity, and confirmed by fruit. Familiarity is not fruit. History is not fruit. Frequent smiles are not fruit. Alignment is fruit. Discipline is fruit. Faith that multiplies your faith, that's fruit. The truth is, some of you are tired, not because your vision is heavy, but because you hitched your assignment to people who never passed the wind test. They praised you in calm weather, but panicked in pressure, and now you are counseling fear you never birthed. That is not leadership, that is leakage. So let me ask you the kind of questions that separate the crowd from the call. Who has permission to speak into your future? Name them. Don't guess, no. Who carries the weight to correct you without wounding your identity? Who understands your language of assignment, not just your language of pain? And then who does not have that permission? Who only has permission to celebrate outcomes after they happen? Who must wait for the testimony, not be invited into the test? Rank your access gates. Protect your thresholds. Because when you blur these lines, you invite sabotage, dressed as sympathy and advice that amputates what it cannot comprehend. I want you to feel the gravity of this without guilt. Eagles don't hate pigeons. They simply protect altitude. You are not rejecting people. You are preserving purpose. I got news for you. You cannot take everyone to the mountain, and God will not apologize for pruning your circles when your destiny demands it. The outer court is still love. The outer court is still kindness. But the inner court is covenant, accountability, prayer that can carry your weight at 3 a.m., wisdom that can challenge you at noon, an honor that doesn't evaporate at sunset. Stop promoting people to levels their character cannot sustain. Stop confusing energy with integrity, chemistry with covenant, exposure with entrustment. The principle is simple. Access is earned by alignment. Some of you need to restructure your week by this law. Create rooms for consultation and rooms for incubation and rooms for celebration, and don't mix them. Do not workshop your baby with the crowd. Let it form in hiddenness with the few who know how to midwife destiny. Do not ask a casual audience to edit a sacred manuscript. The problem is not that they don't care. The problem is they don't carry. And if they don't carry, they will drop it, and you will blame them for what your boundaries should have prevented. Build your fences, not to keep love out, but to keep stewardship in. Set your passwords, not to act important, but to keep the blueprint uncorrupted. If kings guard gates, visionaries must guard voices. Say this out loud and say like you mean it. I will not confuse proximity with permission. Again, louder. From your belly. I will not confuse proximity with permission. Now seal it in your habits. Begin to map your counsel. Label your mentors, your partners, your proteges, your friends and your fans, and treat them accordingly. Honor everyone, entrust a few, love widely, covenant narrowly. Pray for all, plan with the proven. If Jesus could love the multitudes while correcting the 12 and confiding in the 3, what gives you the right to be sloppy? Excellence is not accidental, it is guarded. Destiny is not inevitable, it is stewarded. The cemetery is full of unguarded dreams that died of friendly fire. Listen to me as a father in the faith. Your future will thank you for the conversations you never had, the secrets you never shared, the rooms you never entered, the platforms you declined until your structure could carry the weight. Your assignment is holy. Your mind is royal territory. Your destiny is a garden that requires walls. Let your yes be strategic. Let your no be sacred. Let your circles be ranked. And let your vision be kept pure. Because when you master access, you multiply impact. When you separate love from leadership, you rescue your energy for the work heaven entrusted to you. And when you refuse to confuse proximity with permission, you stop hiring saboteurs as advisors and start running with those who can actually hold you at altitude. Are there eagles in this room? Then guard the gates, refine the circle, and prepare a fly time, test, and fruit will choose your companions, and your integrity will keep you in the sky. Now lean in, because I'm about to hand you a lens that will save your energy and accelerate your obedience. Vision is not only a picture you run toward, it is a light you shine that reveals what is around you. When you speak your assignment, it doesn't just announce your future, it exposes the condition of the listener's hearts. The same sentence that ignites faith in one will awaken fear in another. The same blueprint that humbles one will provoke pride in another. The same holy weight that matures one will intimidate the insecure. I want you to hear this. Your revelation is a revealer. Say it with me. My vision is a filter. When you release it, pay attention to the response, because the response is the report card of character standing in front of you. Please write this down and engrave it in your spirit. Discernment is not suspicion. It is stewardship. You are not called to be paranoid about people. You are called to be wise with people. The king is not asking you to hate anyone. He is asking you to govern your gates. There is a difference. Suspicion searches for devils. Wisdom inspects for fruit. Paranoia is fear-driven and builds walls against love. Discernment is kingdom-driven and builds doors with locks that honor value. How do you know which spirit you're operating in? Suspicion assumes guilt and feeds offense. Discernment tests patterns and protects assignment. Listen carefully, because some of you have confused pain with prophecy. Just because you were hurt doesn't mean everyone is a hazard. The problem is not people. The issue is untested access. And the solution is not isolation, it is evaluation. So here is the evaluation grid, and I want you to speak it over your life like a decree. Fruit over flair, consistency over charisma, covenant over convenience, principle over popularity. If it's flashy but fruitless, you don't build with it. If it's charming but inconsistent, you don't lean on it. If it's available when it's easy but absent when it costs, you don't entrust holy ground to it. If it breaks principle to gain approval, you remove it from the inner room. Why? Because destiny runs on law, not on likes. Because purpose advances on principle, not on applause. Because your future needs loyal character more than loud chemistry. You cannot plant a kingdom seed in soil that values impression over integrity and expect a harvest of righteousness. It does not work. Let your vision become your test. Open your mouth and declare the scale of your assignment. Then watch who leans in to pray, who begins to calculate risk without killing faith, who asks sharpening questions that protect holiness and focus, who changes the subject and jokes to manage their discomfort, who gets loud with borrowed enthusiasm but disappears when it's time for early mornings and late nights, who becomes critical not to anchor you in wisdom, but to keep you at average where they feel safe. Hear me. You are not labeling people to hate them. You are identifying patterns to protect pace, focus, and obedience. The truth is, people will be who they choose to be. You must choose the environment your vision requires. Let me show you how vision unveils 3 escalating patterns so you can prepare your spirit. First, you have the one who doubts it, the person whose native tongue is realistic fear. They don't hate you, they just worship probability more than they worship God. When they hear your blueprint, they immediately count giants, not grapes. Their questions aren't evil, but their atmosphere suffocates faith. Second, you have the one who drains it, the companion who loves you but cannot govern themselves, and their disorder becomes your daily leak. They will not openly attack your dream. They will just consistently interrupt its discipline, eroding momentum grain by grain. Third, you have the one who duplicates it without honoring it, the insecure listener who wants your outcome without your obedience. They sit close, not to serve the king with you, but to harvest your blueprint for their platform. The threat escalates, not because they're more wicked, but because access plus insecurity produces theft. Do you see how the light of vision separates intentions without you lifting a sword? That is the eagle test. Now let me pull you back to wisdom, because some of you are ready to cut everyone off and live on a mountain of loneliness. Eagles fly alone to choose altitude, but they don't despise the flock. They just refuse to live bound by it. You are not called to cancel people. You are called to calibrate people. You can keep someone in your love while removing them from your strategy. You can honor a person publicly while restricting their access privately. Even the ones who fail your test are not enemies. They are indicators. They are tutors sent by experience to refine your filters. Stop taking it personally and start taking it prophetically. Heaven is training your eyes. I got news for you. The most dangerous part of your assignment is not the vision, it is the voices. The wrong voices do not merely slow you down. They retune your mind to a frequency that cannot hear God clearly. Write this down. The wrong relationships don't just slow you, they reshape you. They bend your appetites, they edit your expectations, they repaint your boundaries, and before you know it, your destiny is wearing someone else's measurements. But the right relationships do the opposite. They magnify focus, they multiply discipline, they provoke holy courage, they call you back to principle when popularity is knocking. Choose by fruit, choose by time under pressure. Choose by the test of small obediences before public outcomes. How do you administer the eagle test practically? You don't need a lab, you need a storm and a secret. Invite them into a controlled challenge and watch their reflex. Do they panic and leak fear, or do they stabilize and lift you to prayer? Share a portion of a plan that requires delayed gratification. Do they respect the boundary and cover it in intercession, or do they broadcast it for a moment of social glory? Lay out the schedule required to build. Do they rearrange their life to align, or do they ask you to bend your assignment around their convenience? Don't argue with their promises. Observe their patterns. Time will tell you what words are trying to hide. And remember, this is not to condemn, this is to categorize. Outer court love, inner court covenant, holy of holies, confidentiality, rank and protect. If you apply this lens, your heart will stay soft and your head will stay strong. You will forgive quickly, but entrust slowly. You will love continually, but partner selectively. You will smile often, but guard relentlessly. And you will stop expecting pigeons to soar and stop apologizing to vultures for not bringing dead things to your table. Are there eagles in this room? Then lift your chin, clear your eyes, and let your vision do the sorting. Your assignment is too weighty to guess your way through relationships. Let fruit decide. Let consistency confirm. Let covenant prove. Let principle anchor. When you use vision as a filter, you will keep your pace, protect your focus, and obey without detour. And that obedience, guarded by discernment, will land you in the future God already saw when he gave you the picture. Listen carefully, because this one sits close to your table and smiles in your photos and often carries your last name. The first pattern is the seed killer, the cynic, who calls your faith unrealistic. You must understand this. They are not always enemies. Often they are concerned friends, loving relatives, loyal co-workers who are emotionally attached to your safety but not to your calling. They want you preserved, not poured out. They love your comfort more than your commission. They measure progress by the absence of risk, not by the presence of obedience. The problem is not that they hate you. The problem is that they fear what your vision will demand of you and demand of them. And fear, when coddled, becomes counsel. Until you understand that, you will keep mistaking caution for wisdom, and you will hand kingdom seed to soil that sterilizes it. How do they speak? They speak in a soft tone that sounds like care but carries a toxin. Be practical. Who do you think you are? That doesn't run in our family. We don't do that in this town. God wouldn't ask that much. In this economy, be realistic. Don't embarrass yourself. Hear me. This is fear dressed in a suit called wisdom. It is unbelief wearing a tie called experience. It is survival language masquerading as stewardship. They interpret your future through their past. They size your God by the limits of their last disappointment. They reduce your calling to a comfortable version that requires no miracles, no fasting, no faith, no new wineskins, only predictability. Please write this down. Never hand a God-given seed to someone who can only speak the language of fear. The scriptures give us a pattern so we are not naive. Nehemiah gathered builders with a burden from God to raise a wall, and immediately the mockers appeared. What do these feeble Jews think they're doing? Even a fox could break that wall. Familiarity will always call prophecy fragile because it cannot see the hand that strengthens it. Joseph dreamed a dream of rulership and preservation for nations, and his own brother's blood family could not steward the dream. They threw him into a pit, not because he was wicked, but because his vision exposed their smallness. And even our Lord in his hometown found resistance. Isn't this the carpenter's son? Familiarity breeds contempt when purpose threatens mediocrity. Don't you dare be surprised when those who know your past cannot comprehend your future. God is not consulting their memory to write your destiny. Let me give you the practical indicators so you don't argue with shadows. The seed killer never asked, what did God say? They only ask, what if it fails? They do not inquire about your prayer life. They itemize your risk profile. They do not direct you to the altar. They direct you to the calculator. They are masters of risk analysis, but allergic to faith alignment. They bring you statistics of everyone who didn't make it, but they never bring you stories of those who obeyed against the odds. They will fund a backup plan, but not a prayer plan. They organize meetings to explore contingencies. They never schedule a fast to discern convictions. Their counsel trims your blueprint down to what is accomplishable without God. And when you adjust downward to please them, they applaud your maturity while your spirit grieves that you just buried a miracle in the name of being sensible. So how do you respond without offense, without turning bitter, without becoming a cynic to answer a cynic? You stop debating and you start building. That's Nehemiah's strategy. I am doing a great work. I cannot come down. Write that down. Stop descending into debates that starve momentum. Stop presenting pearls to places that prefer pebbles. This is not an insult. This is a principle. Pearls do not thrive on pavements. Your prototype belongs in prayer-protected rooms. Joseph did not stop dreaming because his brothers were threatened. He learned the discipline of timing and the wisdom of disclosure. Jesus did not set up his headquarters in Nazareth to appease unbelief. He moved to environments that could host the works of the Father. Love the seed killer. Honor their relationship, but edit their access. Keep them in your heart. Remove them from your strategy. You are not rejecting people. You are refusing to negotiate your obedience with fear. Establish this boundary rule tonight and seal it in your habits. Share vision in stages. Seed level only with proven soil. Sprout level with those who have covered you in prayer through storms. Full blueprint only with covenant people who have passed time, test, and fruit. If they have never wept with you at the altar, why are they editing what God wrote on your heart? If they have never bled with you in the trenches of discipline, why are they managing your schedule? If they have never chosen principle over popularity, why are you giving them authority over a mandate that requires both principle and courage? Rank the rooms: outer court, encouragement; inner court, accountability; holy of holies, confidentiality. You are responsible for the locks. I want to free you from guilt, because some of you hear my words and feel disloyal for drawing lines with those who fed you, raised you, hired you. Hear me as a father. Gratitude is not governance. You can say thank you for history and still say no for destiny. You can bring flowers to those who kept you safe and still refuse to let safety manage your future. The kingdom is not advanced by caution. It is advanced by obedience. The cemetery is filled with people who were applauded for being reasonable while heaven was waiting for someone to be faithful. The truth is, your future is suffocating under the quilts of other people's fears. Throw them off, not because you don't love them, but because you love the one who called you more. Now open your mouth and make a declaration that terrifies small thinking and comforts your spirit. Say it. My faith does not need permission from fear. Again, with authority in your chest, my faith does not need permission from fear. One more time so your habits can hear it. My faith does not need permission from fear. That is not arrogance. That is alignment. That is you returning the microphone to God in your life. That is you refusing to let the seed killer narrate your destiny. From this moment, treat fair language like weeds. Don't argue with it. Uproot it. Water your seed with the word. Cover it in prayer. Fence it with fasting. Guard it with schedules that protect discipline. Surround it with people who ask, what did God say and how do we obey? Not what will people think and what if it fails? And when the seed killer speaks again, and they will smile with honor, thank them for their concern, and quietly return to the work. Because the greatest answer to cynicism is completed obedience. The wall will rise, the dream will stand, the hometown will watch from a distance, while miracles multiply where faith is legal. And you, eagle of God, will fly, not because the crowd permitted you, but because the king commanded you. Guard the seed, protect the soil, refuse the language of fear. Your future is not a debate, it is a decree. Now hear me, because this will heal your confusion and restore your stride. The moment you guard the seed, opposition often intensifies, and your reflex is to rebuke the devil. But sometimes what you are calling the devil is the gym of God. You must understand this resistance is not always punishment. Sometimes it is preparation. Not every closed door is demonic. Some are developmental. Not every critic is a curse. Sometimes they are the weight that strengthens your resolve. The Father loves you too much to let you arrive at a throne with a fragile spine, so he enrolls you in focus school. Listen carefully. Opposition is often God's instrument to purify your focus and mature your faith. He allows friction to produce precision. He lets the wind rise so you will learn how to set your wings, not to retreat. Eagles teach us this secret with their whole life. When the storm gathers, pigeons panic and seek shelter. Eagles spread their wings and lock into the currents. The very wind that others fear becomes the elevator that lifts them above the clouds. What others survive, eagles use. What others hide from, eagles harness. Please write this down. Storms don't stop eagles. Storms lift them. That is not poetry. That is principle. Pressure can become altitude when you understand purpose. The problem is not the wind. The problem is you keep interpreting the wind as an enemy rather than an engine. Until you understand that God uses resistance to reveal what is loose in you, you will keep praying against the very process designed to grow your capacity. Let me be a father to you for a moment and correct something that is stealing your momentum. You are waiting for universal approval to obey a personal assignment. That will never happen. The kingdom does not run on consensus. It runs on conviction. Leadership and self-government require that you choose principle over applause. If your mood is married to likes and comments, you are too weak to carry a mandate. You cannot fulfill destiny while being addicted to approval. Vision requires the courage to be misunderstood. Write this down. If I need everyone to understand me, I will never do anything great. Say it again, until it dislodges that craving in your belly. If I need everyone to understand me, I will never do anything great. Greatness is lonely at first because clarity narrows the room. Destiny is noisy at first because your steps reveal those who only loved you as long as you stayed small. Keep walking. Let misunderstanding sift the audience. Your obedience will explain you in time. Now let's go deeper, because I promised you truth that does surgery. The seed killer is not always on your contact list. Sometimes it lives in your chest. That inner voice composed by old disappointments, failed attempts, parental fears, cultural ceilings. It sits like a tenant in your mind, paying rent with excuses. It whispers, don't be embarrassed again. Play it safe. We don't do that where we're from. That is not humility. That is internal sabotage. Evict that tenant. How? By replacing emotional consultation with principle consultation. Stop taking counsel from your feelings in crisis. Your feelings were never assigned to lead, only to report. Install a new cabinet in your inner government. Prayer, scripture, wise counsel, and disciplined planning. Ask your questions at the right table. Not how do I feel about this win, but what did God say? Not do they approve, but does this align with the word? Not will it make me look strong, but will this strengthen obedience and protect integrity? Practice this with rigor. Before you react to resistance, retreat to prayer and bring your assignment back to the throne. Let the word audit your steps, not your wounds, the word. A wound can become a false prophet if you don't heal it. Then invite proven counsel people with fruit, not just flair to weigh the plan. If they can't point to a life governed by principle under pressure, they can't manage your storm map. Finally, translate conviction into disciplined planning. Kingdom is not chaos, it's order. You are not super spiritual because you trust God, but will not draft the schedule your obedience requires. Draft the hours, guard the mornings, set the deadlines, budget for the process, plan your fast, book the solitude, put rehearsals on the calendar. Principle without planning is an intention costume. Planning without principle is an ego project. Marry them and you will find momentum even when winds oppose you. Someone is saying, but it hurts. Of course it hurts. Birth hurts. Growth hurts. Resistance tears muscle so it can rebuild stronger. Diamonds are formed under pressure, not pillows. You have prayed, Lord, make me ready. He answers with training, and you call it warfare. Stop cursing your gym. Use it when criticism comes. Instead of bleeding in public, interrogate it in private. Is there a grain of truth that sharpens me? Good, take it and grow. Is it pure poison? Expel it and move. When delays happen, instead of spiraling into panic, review your blueprint. Did you skip a step? Did you speak too soon? Did you widen access prematurely? Tighten it. When resources thin, don't run to every platform. Return to your provider. Ask for wisdom. Adjust your scale without amputating your obedience. This is how kings think. This is how eagles fly. I want you to hear one more anchor and let it break the chain of performance in your soul. Being misunderstood by men is often the price of being understood by God. He is not confused about your assignment. Heaven is not voting on your future. The Holy Spirit is not waiting for your critics to approve. So fortify your mind with the promises, not the whispers. Memorize your mandate. Speak it back to your soul. Frame your environment to feed your faith. Studies of the word on your walls. Reminders on your phone. Worship that calls you up. Mentors who don't flatter you but forge you. And then when the wind returns, and it will spread your wings and set your face. Don't chase the storm. Don't curse it. Ride it. Are there eagles in this room? Then hear your commission trade pain for principle. Convert every bruise into a boundary. Translate every no into focus. Let resistance reveal what must be strengthened, and let training sculpt the leader in you. You are not fragile. You are forged. You are not seeking universal understanding. You are seeking divine agreement. You are not consulting emotions to chart your route. You are consulting the constitution of the kingdom. Prayer, scripture, wise counsel, discipline planning. And as you do, the storm that came to intimidate will become the lift that escorts you to the altitude your vision demands. Guard your heart. Steady your mind. Stay the course. Opposition is not your wall. It is your wind. Use it and rise. Listen carefully. Because this one does not arrive with a sword. They arrive with a smile and a schedule that has no breaks. The second pattern is the nest disruptor, the undisciplined companion who drains your momentum. They may love you deeply, they may cheer for you publicly, but they carry chaos privately. No rhythm, no restraint, no consistency. They turn your environment into disorder. Their life is a permanent emergency, and somehow you are always the first responder. They are late, but they want you to be understanding. They overspend, but they want you to believe God to fill the gaps their appetites dug. They mock your routines as too much, and they resent your boundaries as unloving. You must understand this. Meaning well without governing well is a slow assassination of destiny. The truth is, disorder is contagious, and if you do not quarantine it, you will catch it. Write this down. Your environment is either a womb or a tomb. What surrounds you shapes what comes out of you. If your room is chaotic, your thoughts will be scattered. If your calendar is random, your results will be accidental. If your companions normalize compromise, your conscience will adjust to survive. The kingdom is not a democracy of moods. It is a government of order. God does not create without form. He moves where there is alignment. Some of you are rebuking the devil while accommodating disarray, and heaven is waiting for you to clean the room your vision must grow in. Are there eagles in this room? Then hear me. Eagles build nests deliberately. They do not collect garbage. They gather structure. They arrange sticks with strategy. thorns with intention, softness with seasonality, and they return again and again to reinforce the frame. Why? Because what you allow around you becomes what you think is normal, and normal becomes your destiny. Who is the next disruptor? They are the one whose life leaks everywhere. They convert their lack of planning into your perpetual crisis. Right before your breakthrough season, they schedule drama. On the week of your fast, they plan a pleasure spree. The night before your presentation, they call with a meltdown and then accuse you of being cold when you guard your sleep. They despise your early mornings because they have married their pillow. They speak in the language of now. Never later, now food, now fun, now fix me. They never finish. They only start. They love beginnings because beginnings don't build you with discipline. Please write this down. Do not trust your vision to people who cannot manage themselves. It is not cruelty. It is math. If they cannot govern their appetite, they cannot protect your assignment. If they cannot be faithful with time, they cannot be faithful with secrets. If they cannot pay their own bills on paper, they will bankrupt your focus in practice. The scriptures are generous with warnings so you do not play naive. Samson, anointed and mighty, surrendered the rhythms of consecration for the convenience of pleasure. Delilah was not the devil in horns. She was access without alignment. Pleasure without purpose turns power into a toy, and toys break destinies. Esau, firstborn with a birthright, traded his future for a bowl because appetite trumped assignment, and an undisciplined hunger is the mother of regret. And wisdom whispers through Proverbs that a little sleep, a little slumber, a little folding of the hands brings poverty like a thief. Notice, it's the small leaks, not only the violent storms, that sink a ship. The next disruptor rarely shows up as a villain. They bleed out your structure, one unkept promise at a time. One "I'll be there" becomes "I forgot." One "I'm working on it" becomes "I got distracted," until your momentum is held hostage by their inconsistency. Let me be practical so you can test without guessing. The next disruptor mocks routines. Why are you so intense about your morning? They resent your calendar. Do you really have to schedule prayer? They label your boundaries as pride. Since when did you get too busy for us? They are allergic to planning. No budgets, no deadlines, no diet, no devotional rhythm. Their car is a sermon on wheels. Fuel light on, papers everywhere, promises on the back seat, and excuses in the trunk. They normalize lateness and call it culture. They dress debt in the clothes of faith. They speak in grand ideas but cannot survive a spreadsheet. And when you are closest to traction, they gift you with distraction. Let's celebrate prematurely. You deserve a break, as if breaks are rewards for starts rather than finishes. Hear me, what you tolerate becomes your template. So what is the kingdom response? Not hatred, not superiority, not public shaming, governance. Love them, but reclassify them. Keep them in your heart. Move them out of your control room. Institute scheduled protection. Your calendar is a covenant with your future. Guard it like treasure. Block your mornings for prayer, planning, and priority work. Put your phone on do not disturb during holy hours. Heaven is calling, not the group chat. Establish phone boundaries. If it's not scheduled and it's not an emergency, it can wait. Selective availability is not arrogance, it is stewardship. Create accountability relationships with people who do not flatter your chaos but enforce your order. Mentors who ask, did you keep the schedule? Did you honor the budget? Did you maintain your consecration? Build a small circle that is licensed to rebuke drift and celebrate discipline. And give your spirit the permission it has been craving. Say no without a footnote. No is not cruelty. No is currency. You pay for destiny with no. No to endless scrolling. No to impulsive spending. No to last-minute intrusions that crucify your focus. No to conversations that keep you angry and unproductive. You don't owe explanation to patterns. You owe obedience to purpose. When they say, you've changed, reply with honor, yes, from disorder to design. When they cry, you are not available like before, respond in love. My availability was feeding your emergencies and starving my assignment. I'm correcting that. When they accuse, you think you're better, answer with humility, no, I'm becoming responsible. I got news for you. Excellence is spiritual. Order is an altar. Schedules can be worshiped when they align your life with the mandate of heaven. The Holy Spirit does not only anoint moments, he anoints systems that protect moments. If you continue to host chaos in the name of compassion, you will bury your calling in a cemetery called good heart. Stop it. Set healthy gates. Rank your relationships by covenant, not by volume. Outer court, love and kindness. Inner court, accountability and consistency. Holy of holies, blueprint partners who bleed for principle. The next disruptor can sit in the outer court. Do not bring them behind the veil. It is not punishment, it is prudence. Let me coach you into a habit that breaks the drain. Every Sunday night, pre-decide your week. Block your devotion, your deep work, your rest, your training, your family. Send a plan to your accountability partner. Pre-shop your meals if your appetite is a thief. Pre-set your alarms if sleep is your seducer. Pre-choose your clothes if mornings steal your brain. Remove decision fatigue. Build rails for your train. Then inform your relationships of your new gates with clarity and kindness. Those who honor you will align. Those who use you will be offended. And their offense is your clarity. Now open your mouth and prophesy to your own habits. Say it with me. My destiny needs structure. Again, so your schedule hears you. My destiny needs structure. One more time with conviction. My destiny needs structure. That declaration is not legalism. It is liberty. It frees you from the manipulations of emergencies and marries you to the momentum of obedience. You are a king's son, a queen's daughter. You do not live by interruptions. You live by instruction. And to every heart that feels torn because the next disruptor is a childhood friend, a sibling, a longtime companion, receive this healing truth. Boundaries are not betrayal. They are love in wise form. You can still show up for birthdays and be absent from chaos. You can still send help without giving away your helm. You can still be kind without being captured. Govern your gates, clean your nest. Choose sticks that can carry weight, thorns that train comfort to release you when it's time to fly. And softness only in seasons that require recovery. Protect the womb of your future, and the tomb of wasted potential will not bear your name. Are there eagles in this room? Then steady your hands, fix your eyes, and fortify your environment. Don't trust your vision to people who cannot manage themselves. Disorder is contagious, but so is discipline. Let your order preach. Let your schedule sing. Let your boundaries bless. And watch your momentum return like the morning on time, bright and unstoppable. Listen carefully, because the next step is not louder, it is higher. You have cleaned the nest, you have fortified the gates, now you must climb. Altitude is not arrogance, it is the disciplined environment your vision needs to grow. Write that down. Some will misread your distance as pride, but you must understand this. Eagles do not avoid crowds because they hate birds. They rise because their wings were designed for heights that pigeons do not attempt. Are you hearing me? Your life, your purpose, your assignment, your destiny requires seasons where God pulls you away, not to punish you, but to prepare you, not to reduce your love for people, but to increase your loyalty to purpose. This is not rejection, this is strategy. Eagles fly alone for focus, but they never live without purpose. The problem is not people, the problem is noise. Until you understand the difference between isolation and solitude, you will keep sabotaging your future in the name of fellowship. Isolation is fear, running, hiding, avoiding accountability. Isolation shrinks you, but solitude is focus, healing, thinking, planning, and praying. Solitude expands you. Isolation disconnects from counsel. Solitude disconnects from clutter. Isolation despises input. Solitude curates input. Isolation says, I don't need anyone. Solitude says, I need God. And I need wise counsel, not a crowd. Which voice is ruling your calendar right now? Are you hiding or are you being honed? The kingdom pattern is consistent. Every serious assignment includes separation before presentation. Moses was sent into the quiet of Midian, where the noise of Egypt could drain out of his bones so he could hear a bush speak. David learned the cadence of kingship not on a stage, but in a pasture alone, crafting psalms, mastering a sling, turning boredom into skill. Elijah was led to Cherith and then to a cave, not to be finished, but to be refocused so he could hear the still small voice beneath the quake and the fire. Our Lord withdrew to lonely places to pray. He left crowds at their peak applause to meet the Father at dawn. Paul went to Arabia because Revelation loves deserts. Write this down. God educates you in private to manifest you in public. If you skip school, you repeat the year in front of witnesses. Here is the leadership principle that will rescue your sanity. You cannot carry a royal assignment with a civilian schedule. Altitude requires thinner traffic and thicker presence. Stop negotiating with crowds for what only encounters can give. Stop expecting applause to do what only alignment can accomplish. Stop feeding your mind with the junk food of opinions and then blaming God for foggy vision. Curate your input like your life depends on it, because it does. Feed on live food. Scripture that cuts and heals. Books that build muscle, not ego. Messages that challenge you to fast and finish. Mentors who have fruit under pressure. If it only entertains you but never trains you, it's not food, it's candy. And candy cannot carry crosses. Let me be practical, because altitude must become a schedule, not a vibe. Establish a daily quiet hour, sacred, non-negotiable, early if you can, where your phone bows and your soul stands up. Open the word not as a, quote, bank, but as a constitution. Let it audit your motives and calibrate your plans. Keep a vision journal. Write what the Spirit highlights. Write the steps. Write the dates. Write the names. Write the corrections. Write the wins. Write the lessons. Put your blueprint on paper, because memory is a saboteur and drift is a thief. Once a week, design a planning block. Review the last 7 days. Celebrate obedience. Confess shortcuts. Adjust rhythms. Set priorities. Align budget with purpose. And assign tasks to actual hours. Fast from noise. Schedule digital Sabbaths, certain hours daily where notifications are illegal. One evening a week where social media is fasted. And a monthly day where your only feed is the word and the world God made. Find a chair, a journal, a Bible, silence, and a pen. Watch, clarity, multiply. And hear me, as a father, you need counsel, not crowds. Stop seeking validation from the many. Seek correction from the proven. Find mentors who can correct you without competing with you. They don't need your stage. They want your soul to succeed. If they cannot celebrate your obedience without feeling threatened, they are not mentors. They are monitors. Choose fathers and mothers in the Spirit whose scars speak louder than their slogans, whose integrity stands when storms take selfies. Submit your plans to them. Give them permission to say no. Let them ask the questions you avoid. Is this God or is this ambition? Are you expanding too fast? Are you hiding behind busy to avoid the altar? This is how eagles test the wind before the flight. They test their counsel before the decision. I got news for you. If you cannot sit alone with your thoughts, you are not yet ready to lead people with theirs. Leadership and self-government demand that you become comfortable in the company of responsibility. Solitude is the gym of your mind and the chapel of your spirit. It is where your appetites are trained to wait, where your emotions are taught to report and not rule, where your vision is reminded of its source. Practice silence until your inner noise submits. Practice long obedience until your impatience retires. Practice saying no to good things to God the one thing. And when guilt knocks because you reduce access, answer with truth altitude. It's not arrogance, it is stewardship. You are not better than anyone. You are responsible for something. Build the pattern, because greatness is not a moment, it is a rhythm. Morning, watch scripture, stillness, speaking the vision out loud, asking for daily bread and daily boundaries. Midday review, 10 minutes to realign, a quick audit of drift, a prayer of recalibration, evening debrief gratitude, confession, adjustments, tomorrow's top 3 written before sleep, weekly planning, Sunday night appointment with your future to assign hours to what heaven assigned to you. Monthly solitude, one day to pull away, reflect, fast a meal, and listen with a long ear. Quarterly retreat, half a day, in nature if you can to reset altitude and evaluate fruit. And through it all, curate inputs. One book that builds skill, one mentor conversation that confronts drift, one teaching that calls you upward. Write this down. My next level requires my next discipline. Say it with me so your routines hear it. My next level requires my next discipline. Again, until excuses loosen their grip, my next level requires my next discipline. Someone is thinking, will I lose people? Maybe, but you will gain presence. Will some call me proud? Possibly, but God will call you prepared. Will I feel lonely at times? Yes. But loneliness is not a verdict. It is an invitation to deeper company with the one who called you. The cemetery is full of people who were always available to everyone and never available to destiny. Do not add to its wealth. Choose altitude. Choose the mountain where prayers are forged, strategies are born, and convictions are branded into your bones. Choose the secret place over the spotlight. The Father who sees in secret will reward you openly. Are there eagles in this room? Then stretch your wings and set your face. Withdraw to advance. Reduce to refine. Quiet the room so you can hear the river. Guard your hours like gold. Submit to mentors who build, not brands that brag. Feed on live food. Fast from noise. And declare it as a covenant over your life. Altitude is not arrogance. It is stewardship. I am not hiding. I am honing. I am not distant. I am directed. I am not isolated. I am in training. I choose solitude on purpose so I can lead on mission. And as you keep this discipline of altitude, your vision will grow claws, your faith will grow feathers, and your future will stop waiting and start moving. Now that you have chosen altitude and guarded your hours, listen carefully. Because the higher you rise, the brighter your light. And light does not only attract destiny, it attracts insects. You must understand this. There is a third pattern, more subtle than cynicism and more sophisticated than chaos. I call them the vision thief, the insecure listener who wants your blueprint, not your God. They are attracted to your revelation, but not committed to your relationship with the one who gave it. They want your outcome without your obedience, your strategy without your sacrifice, your vocabulary without your consecration. And if you are not discerning, you will mistake their enthusiasm for covenant, their curiosity for loyalty, their questions for honor. Guard your blueprint, because some people want the map while mocking the mountain you had to climb to draw it. How do they operate? They come with flattery that sounds like faith. You're amazing. Teach me everything. I feel so connected to you. They ask excessive questions and want quick access. They move fast with sudden closeness. They give quick commitments without the weight of process. Then when you begin to open doors, they do quiet comparisons. They study your phrases, not your formation. They absorb your steps, not your submission. Subtle competition follows, a duplication without honor, a mimicry that wants your stage but not your scars. They appear during harvest and vanish during sowing. They re-emerge when cameras return but disappear when floors need sweeping. They smile in meetings, then edit your language into their brand. And when asked where they learned, their memory forgets your name. Are you hearing me? This is not hatred speaking. This is stewardship. Until you understand that insecurity produces rivalry and rivalry produces sabotage, you will keep calling vipers vision partners. Write this down. Motive is louder than method. The kingdom trains. The kingdom multiplies. The kingdom reproduces fruit. But theft is when motive is self-exaltation and covenant is absent. Not everyone who learns from you is stealing. Do not become suspicious of sons and daughters because of one Judas. Multiplication is holy when it flows from submission, accountability, and honor. Theft is hellish when it flows from envy, shortcuts, and independence masquerading as creativity. The difference is not the notes, it is the heart behind the pen. The difference is not the phrase, it is the altar behind the voice. The scriptures are not silent on this pattern. They draw it in bright colors so your discernment does not sleep. There was a prince named Absalom who stood at the gate, embraced people, listened to their grievances, spoke soft words like oil, and then said, if only I were appointed judge. He stole the hearts of a nation with charm, not with covenant. He built a brand out of his father's favor and then weaponized it against the house that raised him. That is the pattern. Flattering questions at the gate, stolen loyalty in the courtyard, and a coup in the living room. There was a disciple who walked close enough to kiss, but not deep enough to obey. Judas loved the proximity of power, but not the surrender of self. He could hold the money bag, but could not carry the kingdom. He reduced the price list to coins and traded destiny for silver that burned his hands. And remember Simon the sorcerer, who saw power in the apostles and wanted to buy it. He wanted the Spirit's outcomes without the Spirit's ownership. He said, give me this power also, but he would not give his heart. Write this down. God's power is not for sale, and God's blueprint cannot be prostituted to insecurity. The vision thief lives on comparison because insecurity is their daily bread. They scan rooms with the eyes of rivalry. They clap but count. They nod but negotiate in their mind how to outshine you using the tools you taught them. They avoid submission because submission kills the idol of self. They resist accountability because accountability anchors motive. They will not build with you, but they constantly extract from you. When work is called, they are working on something. When correction is given, they are suddenly led elsewhere. When fruit appears, they are the first to post a picture as if they watered the field. And here is the painful truth. You trained some of them. You sat with them. You prayed with them. You gave them language and ladders and access. Do not spiral into self-blame. Learn the law of access again. Eagles always test before they trust. Give principles broadly, but give blueprints narrowly. Share revelation with the hungry, but give roles to the proven. That is not meanness, that is monarchy. So how do you protect what heaven entrusted? Write this down. Keep your vision in layers. The outer layer is for inspiration. Share widely, bless many, seed the atmosphere with principle and hope. The middle layer is for instruction. Train those who show faithfulness over time, those who carry weight without complaint, those who receive correction without offense. The inner layer is for blueprint. Reserve that for covenant-tested sons and daughters, those who bleed the same values, who honor in private, who submit plans before they print posters, who will not merchandise your secrets. If they demand inner layer access while resisting middle layer accountability, you already have your answer. If they want your stage before they serve your setup, your camera before they carry your chair, your slogans before they share your burdens, smile and bless them at the outer layer and leave it there. You are not starving them. You are saving your assignment. Let me be practical so you can test without paranoia. Ask yourself, do they pursue God when you are not in the room? Do they have a prayer life that feeds their confidence, or only an Instagram that feeds their insecurity? Do they initiate service or only initiate selfies? When you correct them, do they grow or do they gather a jury? When you delay access, do they deepen process or do they find a shortcut? Do they reference their sources when they teach? Do they quote and honor or do they recycle and rename? The wise can track honor. Honor leaves breadcrumbs. The faithful can carry secrets. Secrets do not leak in the hands of the submitted. I got news for you. Trust is not hope. Trust is history. Until they have history under you, they should not have secrets from you. And to those who fear becoming closed-hearted, I'm reaching for your wound right now. Betrayal is a sting that carries venom if you let it sit. But here the kingdom, truth betrayal is painful because you were faithful, and it is also proof you are carrying something valuable. Thieves do not break into empty houses. Smile through tears and say, I must be a carrier. Do not become bitter, become wiser. Jesus washed the feet of Judas and still finished the cross. David wrote Psalms while fleeing Absalom and refused to reach for a spear. The apostles rebuked Simon with clarity, not with cruelty, because the kingdom corrects while it protects. You do not need to build a wall against love. You need to build gates for wisdom. Forgive fully, but trust by process. Keep your heart soft and your gate strong. Bite the bait of bitterness and you feed the cemetery with another unfinished vision. We cannot afford that. Your children cannot afford that. The kingdom assignment on your life cannot afford that. I want you to write down a simple protocol. Time, test and fruit. Time reveals motive. Test reveals loyalty. Fruit reveals integrity. Give people time to reveal what applause cannot. Give them tests that involve correction, hidden service, delayed reward. Watch for fruit when no one is looking. Do they keep confidences, keep budgets, keep prayer, keep their word? If they fail, do not brand them forever. Coach them. But if they refuse, reclassify them. Love them as family in Christ. Do not mistake them for family in blueprint. You must understand this. Covenant is measured by what we protect together, not by what we post together. I can feel someone saying, but I want to help them. Help them by giving them what will actually heal them. Point them back to God, not deeper into your vault. Call them into identity, not into imitation. Train them in principles that make eagles, not tricks that impress pigeons. Teach them to wait on the Lord until they mount up with their own wings, not to borrow your feathers and call it flight. If they must copy, let them copy your altar first. If they must follow, let them follow you to the secret place, not just to the spotlight. Now open your mouth and make a royal decree over your life. Say it, I will not be naive. I will be noble and discerning. Again, louder so insecurity hears you. I will not be naive. I will be noble and discerning. One more time with conviction that shakes old patterns. I will not be naive. I will be noble and discerning. Guard your blueprint. Protect your gates. Share your bread, but keep your bank. Give the world your light, but keep your oil in covenant vessels. Some will want your outcome without your obedience. Bless them with principles and send them to the altar. And as you walk in this wisdom, your vision will not be stolen, it will be stewarded. Your heart will not be hardened, it will be honed. And your destiny will not be delayed, it will be delivered on time, with honor, for the glory of the King. Listen carefully, because this next piece is not a suggestion. It is a kingdom law that will keep your heart soft and your vision safe. Trust is not a feeling. It is a conclusion drawn from patterns. Hope is beautiful, but hope is a poor security system. You must understand this. Hope will open the door, but only proof should give out the keys. Write these 3 words and stamp them on the gates of your life. Time, test, fruit. Say with me so your habits hear it. Time, test, fruit. Again, like a decree over your leadership. Time, test, fruit. You don't trust people because you're hopeful. You trust them because they've been proven. Time is the first judge. Time reveals what applause hides. Time is not just a calendar, it is a climate changer. It exposes motives. It strips cosmetic loyalty. It shows you whether someone loves you or just loves your harvest. Watch longevity. Does this person stand with you through seasons, or do they only appear when it benefits them? Do they visit when the lights are bright, or do they remain when the lights are off and the floor needs sweeping? Do they stay through winter when there are no leaves, no fruit, just roots and discipline and routine? Everyone looks faithful in spring. Everyone is available in summer. But watch them in autumn when pruning starts, and in winter when silence stretches. Time will reveal if their loyalty is to your person, your principles, or your platforms. Write this down. Time is the slow fire that tests material. Gold glows, straw smokes. Until you give time a voice, you are giving your destiny to a stranger with a smile. The second law is test. Eagles always test before they trust. The problem is not that people fail. The problem is you promoted them before the test. Give small responsibilities that carry weight but not disaster. Then watch what they do with the little. Ask them to arrive early and remain late. Do they treat presence as a privilege or a burden? Hand them a budget to manage for a minor project. Do they honor the scent and defend the boundary, or do they blur lines and make creative excuses? Share a sensitive timeline and ask for confidentiality. Does it stay in prayer, or does it travel as gossip in spiritual clothing? Offer correction and observe their posture. Do they grow, or do they gather a jury? Do they submit their plan before they print a poster, or do they announce first and apologize later? This is how you measure follow through, honor, humility, and the sacred art of keeping confidences. Write it down. Small assignments expose big attitudes. He who is faithful with little will be faithful with much, But he who is casual with little will be careless with much. Until you can obey as an usher, you are not ready to govern as a general. The third law is fruit. Gifting is not fruit. Popularity is not fruit. Eloquence is not fruit. Fruit is character under pressure. Fruit is peace when provoked, self-control when tempted, truthfulness when unseen, teachability when corrected. Fruit is consistency when no photos are taken, generosity when no one is clapping, integrity when budgets are tight, prayer when storms are loud. Look for what grows, not just what shows. Fruit takes time and resists hype. Flash grows fast, but fruit endures frost. I got news for you. The kingdom counts fruit, not fireworks. Until you can trace a pattern of patience, honesty, restraint, and honor, you do not have trustworthy evidence. You have hopeful emotion. And hopeful emotion is a thief of crowns. Now let me place this law into a framework you can use tomorrow morning. Access is holy. Access is stewardship. The keys of the kingdom are not souvenirs. They are governance. Establish 4 levels of access and move people by evidence, not by charm. Level 1 is the crowd. The crowd gets encouragement, smiles, and principles. Bless them openly, feed them hope, but do not grant them influence over your decisions. Level 2 is community. These are consistent servants who carry small tasks and receive limited insight. They are learning your values. You are watching their response to instruction. Level 3 is counsel. This is where full disclosure lives. These people have history. They have survived time and past tests. They have fruit that echoes your values. They can correct you without competing with you. You invite their veto because you trust their hearts. Level 4 is covenant. This is rare. This is shared burden and shared battle. These are sons and daughters, co-builders who bleed the blueprint and protect the gates even when you are not in the city. With covenant, you share strategy before execution, pain before praise, scars before stages. If someone demands covenant access while resisting community responsibilities and counsel correction, your decision has already been made. Love them at the level their fruit can carry. Leaders, hear me. With love and authority, stop trying to take everyone with you. Destiny is not a bus ride. It is a flight, and some cannot breathe at your altitude. The cabin pressure of purpose will expose weak lungs. You are not cruel when you seek people according to their preparation. You are wise. If you overcrowd the cockpit with untested companions, you will crash a plane full of potential to protect a few egos. Reduce weight. Secure the oxygen of prayer. Strap in people who can function under turbulence. Some must wave from the terminal and receive your postcards. That is not rejection. That is aviation. Your assignment is too heavy for sentimental stowaways. I can hear someone say, but what if I misjudge? That is why this is a protocol, not a mood. Time will correct your misreads. Tests will refine your impressions. Fruit will confirm your discernment. If you err on the side of mercy with boundaries. If they grow, promote them gradually. If they resist growth, reclassify them without bitterness. Do not make enemies out of students. Do not make partners out of spectators. Reclassification is not a scarlet letter. It is a seating chart. You are stewarding a kingdom flight, not curating a fan club. Now make this practical. Map your access. Put names on paper under each level and hold yourself accountable to the law. Time, test, fruit. Schedule your tests like you schedule your meetings. Hidden service rotations, confidentiality trials, budget stewardship exercises, correction conversations. Journal the outcomes. Note reactions to delays, to no's, to changes. Track fruit across months, not moments. And when promotions happen, announce them with honor and the reason. Time, test fruit, so your culture learns the law and not the loopholes. Build a house where gifting is celebrated, but fruit is what earns keys. Listen carefully. The purpose of this protocol is not to harden your heart. It is to harness your love. It protects your tenderness by giving wisdom a gate. It keeps you generous with principles and precise with trust. It keeps your oil in consecrated vessels and your lamp bright for the long night. The truth is, you will not reach your finish line by accident. You will arrive there because you govern your relationships like a king under a king. Say it with me. As a royal decree over your life, your purpose, your assignment, your mind, your future, and your destiny. Trust is not a feeling, it is a conclusion. I will give access by time. I will promote by test. I will confirm by fruit. Again, until all patterns bow. Time, test, fruit. And as you establish this kingdom protocol, you will find rest returning to your soul. You will sleep without scanning for betrayal. You will share without fear and correct without trembling. Your vision will stop leaking through cracked containers and start multiplying in proven hands. And when the day of battle comes, and it will, you will not be surrounded by admirers who flee at the first arrow. You will be flanked by covenant who have history with your God and scars with your house. Then, and only then, will your trust become a fortress, your team become an army, and your vision become a finished legacy before you die. Listen carefully, because this is where many mighty men and women quietly bled out. The problem is not that you lack talent, strategy, or anointing. The problem is you were wounded by someone you trusted, and instead of becoming wiser, you became walled off. You hid your blueprints in a cave and called it discernment. You shut the door on everybody and called it holiness. You stopped building and blamed God for a pain he did not author. You must understand this betrayal is a real wound, but it is not a final verdict. It is a storm, not a funeral. It is a thorn in the nest, not the end of your wings. I want you to breathe this in. The fact that it hurt means your heart was alive. The fact that you're still here means your assignment is not finished. I want you to write this down. Forgiveness and discernment are not opposites. They are partners. Forgiveness releases the person to God. Discernment restricts their access to you. Forgiveness cleans your heart. Boundaries guard your gates. Some of you confuse mercy with re-entry, and you keep rehiring Judas as treasurer because you think grace means keys. I got news for you. Jesus washed Judas's feet and still didn't cancel the cross to make him comfortable. David wept over Absalom and still refused to hand him the throne. Joseph forgave his brothers from the palace, not from the pit. Say it with me so your emotions hear it. I will forgive fully, but I will trust wisely. Again, like a decree over your life, your purpose, your assignment, your mind, your future, and your destiny. I will forgive fully, but I will trust wisely. The danger of overcorrection is subtle and deadly. Pain will offer you two roads, the road to wisdom or the road to walls. Walls will keep out enemies, but they will also block helpers. Walls will silence the critic, but they will also silence counsel. Walls will protect your oil, but they will suffocate your lamp. Wisdom, on the other hand, builds gates, gates with watchmen, gates with times, tests, and fruit, gates that open to covenant and shut to corruption. Please write this down. Your future does not need a bunker. It needs a city with gates. Are you hearing me? Stop turning your calling into a prison because someone broke your trust. Heal the wound and keep the walls where they belong around the city, not around your heart. So how do we heal without surrendering the vision? We start where God starts. Truth. Grieve honestly. Don't spiritualize the bruise. Don't sing over a fracture and call it faith. Go into the secret place and pour out the pain like water. Name what they did. Name how it felt. Let tears testify so the venom can leave. Heaven is not intimidated by your ache. The healer is attracted to your honesty. Then repent of bitterness. Repent not because you are the villain, but because bitterness chained your soul to the scene of the crime. Renounce inner vows that sound holy but strangle destiny. I will never trust again. I will never train again. I will never lead again. Break those vows with a higher one. I will heal and I will still build. Say it now out loud. Break the agreement with paralysis. I will heal and I will still build. Again, this time from the place betrayal tried to bury, declare it. I will heal and I will still build. Next. Reestablish boundaries. Go back to the protocol we just engraved. Time, test, fruit. Do not reopen vaults because you feel better. Reopen them because proof returned. Remap your access. Reclassify relationships without revenge. Close doors that were left swinging in the wind, and assign watchmen to gates you once assumed would guard themselves. Healing is not naivete. Healing is sight restored, then rebuild slowly. Pace is not unbelief, it's wisdom. Give micro assignments and watch for macro attitudes. Allow people to earn back what they squandered, or to demonstrate that they never carried it in the first place. Move by evidence, not nostalgia. Your destiny is not a museum for old memories. It's an embassy for the King. And re-engage with vetted counsel. Isolation is a liar that wears the mask of safety. You need elders who can see your blind spots, friends who can carry your stretcher when the night is long, and a community that speaks your values back to you when your voice is tired. Choose voices that love your soul more than your stage, who protect your blueprint even when it costs them applause. Invite their questions. Give them permission to say not yet. Submission is not losing control. It is gaining covering. Eagles fly alone when in motion, but even eagles return to a cliff that was tested by time. Find your cliff in covenant counsel and land there to rest, renew, and relaunch. Now, let me redeem your memory with a kingdom lens. Betrayal feels like a pit, but God often uses pits as relocation tools. Joseph's brothers meant it for evil, but the pit moved him to Potiphar's house. The house moved him to prison. The prison introduced him to the palace, and the palace fulfilled a vision he wrote as a teenager. Do you see it? Human hands pushed him, but unseen hands positioned him. Your pain may be a passport. Your detour may be your direct route. What if the place you are crying about is the place God is using to change your address into destiny? What if the no that broke your heart freed your calendar for the yes that feeds nations? Write this down. God will not waste a wound if you won't worship the wound. Refuse to make a monument out of a betrayal. Build an altar there, offer it to God, and move on. I want to pass to your imagination for a moment. See yourself sitting again with blueprints without shaking. See your table set again with plans, timelines, and teams. See your midnight prayer life burning bright without suspicion, eating your edges. Hear the sound of hammer and nail, not the whisper of rumor and fear. Feel the wind return under your wings because courage came back. The truth is, the cemetery is already too rich with unfinished visions. We cannot afford to bury yours beside someone else's offense. Before you die, heal this wound and finish your assignment. Before you die, turn this scar into a story that trains the next generation. Before you die, choose wisdom over walls and gates over graves. Lift your voice with me like a royal oath and let heaven record it. Say it. I will forgive fully, but I will trust wisely. I will grieve honestly and repent of bitterness. I will reestablish boundaries and rebuild slowly. I will re-engage with vetted counsel. I will not surrender my vision to a wound. I will heal and I will still build. One more time. Let your future hear it. I will heal and I will still build. And as you decree it, may the oil of the healer touch the places that still throb. May courage stand up straight in your spine. And may your gates swing open to covenant and shut tight to corruption. Your heart will be soft. Your walls will be strong. Your steps will be steady. And your vision protected, purified, and proven will be finished to the glory of the King. Listen carefully, because this is the moment where protection becomes propulsion. All this discernment, all these gates, all this testing, this was never to make you paranoid. It was to make you precise. The point is not identifying who is wrong for you. The point is completing the right assignment God put inside you before you die. You must understand this discernment is the guardrail, not the destination. The destination is destiny. The goal is not to be a professional evaluator. The goal is to be a faithful finisher. The truth is, a protected vision becomes a finished vision, and a finished vision becomes a legacy. I want you to write this down. Vision unrecorded is vision unsecured. If it only lives in your head will edit it to fit your fear. Put it on paper. Make it plain enough that a runner can run with it without calling you for clarification. When vision is written, it becomes measurable. When it's measurable, it becomes actionable. When it's actionable, it becomes inevitable through discipline. Write the numbers you will hit, the names of the teams you will train, the dates you will deliver. the resources you will steward, the territories you will serve. Clarity is the oxygen of execution. Vague dreams create vague days. A line on paper is a leash on distraction. Ink your burden. If the blueprint is sacred, the page is an altar. Open your mouth and say, I will write it plain. Say it again until your excuses submit. I will write it plain. Now, execution. This is where leaders are born and pigeons bow out. Prioritize one vision critical action every day. One, not 10, not 99. Scattered efforts. One decisive strike that moves the needle of your assignment. Schedule it like a king schedules warfare. Put it on your calendar before you answer a single text. Give it your peak energy, your clearest hour, your undivided mind. Turn your morning table into a war room. Prayer first to find the win. Plan next to set the course. Then action that proves your allegiance. Eliminate low-value conversations that massage your ego but murder your momentum. If it doesn't serve the vision, it doesn't deserve the hour. Write this down. Your yes is holy because your time is royal. Protect it like treasure. If you treat your day like common dirt, don't complain when no harvest grows. Kings do not wander into victory. Kings schedule it. Are you hearing me? Set weekly checkpoints. Celebrate small wins that match the big blueprint. Adjust without apology. Keep marching. Keep moving. Keep sowing in the same direction until consistency becomes compound interest for your future. Now do a relational audit with courage and kindness. Take the names in your inner circle and assign access by evidence, crowd, community, council, covenant. Decide who gets information, who gets involvement, and who gets distance. Who should be blessed from the balcony and who should be invited to the boardroom. Who should intercede for you without interfering with you? Who can carry a sensitive timeline without leaking it? Who can be corrected without collapsing? Who bleeds the blueprint when you're not in the room? Move people respectfully, but move them. Promotion is not a love letter, it is a responsibility. Demotion is not bitterness, it is stewardship. Say it with conviction. Love everyone, trust proven ones, and carry covenant into battle. Let me speak to your identity, because your feet will never outrun your self-image. You are not a pigeon pecking at crumbs of applause. You are an eagle designed for altitude. You are not common. You are not called to crawl. You are not sentenced to circles of delay. You are engineered by the King to rise, to lead, to finish. Your life has assignment in its bones. Your mind is the runway of heaven's ideas. Your future is not a rumor. It is a mandate. The cemetery has already stolen enough symphonies and books and businesses and ministries that never left the heart. Make a decision today. You will not donate your dream to the grave. Say it with me, loud enough to offend your old patterns. I am an eagle. I am a finisher. I am a steward of vision. And hear the seal of scripture, because we do not run on caffeine and slogans. We run on covenant. They that wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings as eagles. They shall run and not be weary. They shall walk and not faint. Waiting is not inactivity. Waiting is alignment. Waiting is refueling. Waiting is the moment where your breath matches his wind. You are not hiding. You are calibrating. Prayer is not wasting time. Prayer is saving time. When you wait, you trade your fumes for his fire. When you wait, you swap human push for holy lift. Then you mount, then you run, then you walk without collapse, because your pace is set by purpose, not pressure. Now let's finalize this with action. Today, before the sun sleeps, write the vision. Title the document with your assignment. State the outcomes heaven expects from your stewardship. Set 3 measurable milestones for the next 90 days. Block 1 sacred hour tomorrow for your one action. Send 1 message to reclassify 1 relationship with honor. Reach out to 1 counselor who has fruit to inspect your plan. Remove 1 distraction from your daily liturgy. 1 app, 1 chat, 1 habit that steals wind from your wings. And when night comes, kneel and resurrender the blueprint to the King, thanking him that the one who authored the vision is faithful to finish it through you. I got news for you. The wealthiest spot on this planet is still the cemetery, but it will not get richer because of your procrastination. You will not feed that graveyard, your unbuilt schools, your unwritten books, your unlaunched companies, your untrained leaders. You will die empty, not from exhaustion, but from completion, poured out, obeyed, finished. My greatest dream and wish for you is that the day you leave this planet, there will be nothing left in you that belongs to time. You will have converted it all into service for the King. Lift your voice now like a coronation vow and let time and hell and habit hear you. Say it loud. I will protect my vision and I will finish my assignment. Again, with your hand on your own chest as a witness, I will protect my vision and I will finish my assignment. Speak to your schedule. I will write it plain. I will guard it wisely. I will run it daily. Speak to your gates. Time, test, fruit. Speak to your mind. Focus, discipline, obedience. Speak to your future. Prepare the runway. I am coming. And as you decree it, may the Spirit breathe courage into your lungs, clarity into your pages, strength into your routine, and covenant into your company. Run now, eagle. Govern your day. Guard your gates. Write the vision, guard the vision, run with the vision, because a protected vision becomes a finished vision, and a finished vision becomes a legacy before you die.